So joining me now here at Minotti's Coffee, Washington Boulevard in lovely Culver City, California. I believe we are on the border of Culver City and Mar Vista right now. But with me, old friend of the show, been on more times than we want him, but he just keeps coming back, and we love him, though. Tom Caltabiano. Tom? How are you?
Thank you, Dan. Usually I get insulted much later in the show.
So
I didn't even get a word out.
Well, it's just good-natured ribbing, Tom. That's all. It's good-natured ribbing. And also, and don't take offense at this, Tom, at all, but way more excited about this because he's a new friend of the show, and we always like when new people come on because sometimes they can then go on to become old friends of the show. But right now, He's a new friend of the show. He is a legendary voiceover artist. Artist is the word, I'd say. Among the myriad characters he's had here, the Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
Yes.
He was the voice of Toucan Sam.
Follow your nose.
From Fruit Loops Forever. Morbo.
Morbo is pleased yet sticky to meet you.
Lieutenant Kiff Croker.
Oh, the rest of the crew doesn't share your passion for velours, sir.
And I hope I don't have this one wrong. Alec Baldwin in Team America World Police?
One day. This is actually not a great day to be ripping out.
I know. We'll get to that later,
Yeah,
but it's one of my favorite movies. But please, welcome to the show, Maurice LaMarche.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
Thank
Good to see you.
Wow.
Thanks for coming out, gents. And Tom, I love you. So we're here at Minotti's coffee place.
This is
We're doing
great coffee.
It's not always adult beverages on this show. I love coffee. I talk about coffee.
I don't
a
know
lot.
a lot of children that drink coffee. This is an adult beverage.
That's right, yeah.
I drink it black. That's very adult.
It is very adult. And so we decided to do coffee. Maurice no longer partakes of the alcohol, but he does love him some coffee.
I do.
And so that's why we're here.
Yeah.
How would you rate this coffee? Because Tom said right off the bat that he loved it.
I was shocked. I love coffee.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of coffee, and this is a delicious coffee.
I have a friend, a comedian friend from Toronto, who's been here 40 years, but I still think of him as from Toronto, named Lou Dinos. He has a joke in his act. He says, I drink a lot of coffee. My doctor says I drink too much, and it might kill me, but when I die, I'm going to be awake. And I love that joke.
Well, what makes good coffee for you? Like, what do you like
I like
certain
some
style?
strength, but I don't like it to have a lot of hair and a lot of rough edges. You know what I mean? Like
Hair in the coffee.
Serration.
Yeah. Yes.
I want it to go down smooth, but I want to know I'm drinking coffee. And this is delicious coffee. And I do drink it black. I'm one of those people that actually enjoys the taste of coffee.
Beethoven apparently was very specific about how he wanted his coffee prepared. He insisted that each cup he consumed be made with exactly 60 coffee beans. No more. So he was kind of like the first, writer, take out the blue M&Ms, 60 beans.
He was the first OCD.
Can I tell you that and not to align myself in any way with Beethoven, but I'm very specific about the way I make my coffee. It drives my wife nuts, but I weigh the beans 30 grams, exactly 30 grams of bean, grind it fresh. I use a Chemex, and then exactly 365 grams, I go by water weight, grams of boiling water just off the circular pour. And that produces to me the perfect cup of coffee, 30 and 365. It's 30 number of days in a month, 365 number in a year.
Wow.
But I will count 60 beans and see how that works out.
Tom, are you at all this?
So not only am I the opposite, I'm going to take Maurice's wife's side in this argument of it being annoying. I'm obsessed with coffee. Maurice is doing it the correct way. So I grind as much as possible, put it into, so a Chemex, for those of you that don't know, Chemex is a glass container and you pour boiling water over it through a funnel. The coffee's in a funnel. And it's a beautiful object. And Maurice bought me one for my birthday once.
And then you've replaced every one.
I just put...
Because they break.
I just put a ton of coffee and I pour it, and as long as it's dark, and so it's funny that but that's a little bit OCD in a good way.
little bit?
Everyone will approve of that, especially Ludwig van Beethoven.
Beethoven
Would
is
approve.
currently rolling in his grave.
You could have lived with Beethoven and had less fights than you do with your wife.
Probably.
Because he would have said, Maurice.
It's 61 beans.
You have
That's too many beans.
Towards the end, you got to talk louder, though, right? Then Beethoven got a little.
By the way,
hearing.
good callback. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dan, I was going to say, I get blown away when I hear Maurice doing those. So on your introduction, Maurice is just whizzing off the voices like nothing, right?
Well, that's what I wanted to sort of get to.
Right.
We'll segue in with when you talk about drinking coffee or whatever.
Right.
Your voice is the most important. It's the thing, the mechanism with which you make your living. Do you have to worry about certain things like that could screw up your vocal cords?
Well, I gave like here it is. All the fun stuff. Actually, tomorrow will be 34 years since my last drink. Now, I don't make any moral thing about alcohol. I just have this theory that everybody gets a certain number of drinks allotted to them in, the moment they're born. I just did all mine up by my 31st birthday. Really? I just drank the lifetime's worth of drinks by my 31st birthday, and it was time to stop. But I used to smoke cigars, and I used to think that the cigars gave my voice depth and richness. And and I finally gave those things up because my son said, Dad, my clothes stink and my friends think I'm smoking pot. And he's only 11 years old. And I go, all right, that's it, done. It hurts my kid, done. And, so I avoid smoking like the plague. I drink lots of water. I don't think coffee is really deleterious to the vocal cords per se, but I make sure to hydrate a whole bunch. And that's it. I stay away from soda.
What about age?
Soda pop, depending which side of the you're watching. So I stay away from that.
What about your age, though? Because I was watching a video of you from many years ago. Rodney Dangerfield was doing some sort of a young comedian, and you came up and you killed it. It was amazing. But talking to you now, it's very noticeable the difference between your voice now and
then. As they age. And I've got a certain amount of control that I employ, but if I don't employ it, I sound like this. I'm kidding. I don't think it's anything I've done to my voice. Everybody just gets a little bit deeper. I mean, if you listen to the entire cast of Futurama, and watch a season 1 episode, and then listen to the episodes that we're doing now, which won't drop until mid-year. But all of our voices have gotten a little bit deeper.
But what about someone like Dan Castellaneta? I don't notice any difference between the Homer now and the Homer then. He is employing
a certain vocal tension for Homer, so he can keep doing that. And sell it. Also, I happen to know Dan is one of the cleanest living people that there is. So he doesn't smoke. I think smoking's the great enemy of anybody who uses their voice for a living, unless you're George Burns and it's part of the character, where everything with him was all about how very raspy his voice was. And he lived to 101. This is like, my doctor tells me to quit smoking, but I don't listen to him. And now my doctor's dead and I'm still here. That's.
By the way, we should say Dan Castellaneta is Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson,
so people know.
I was curious if are they manipulating it in any way, his voice, to make it?
No, I think I did a Simpsons where I actually had long scenes, with a character based on our favorite sushi Chef Kazunori Nozawa. They actually wrote an episode where Marge and Homer find the greatest sushi bar in the world. And it's the A story of the episode, and he dispenses wisdom to them, and so I played with Dan. Most of the time when I do Simpsons, I just go in, pick up my lines. I'm usually playing Orson Welles or Vincent Price, and I just pick up my lines separately downstairs in the lower studio under the writing offices. And with this one, it was all of us on the Marge Simpson stage acting the scenes out, and it was phenomenal to be between, it was only about 5 years ago, to be between Julie Kavner and Dan Castellaneta and hear them relate to each other as Marge and Homer, and see the relationship that Dan and Julie have with each other in person playing those characters, because they play to each other. They don't just read off the thing. They're talking with each other. And Julie is very animated and very much trying to reach him. Her body language is of someone really trying to reach her husband. And Dan is just, very like this and but he's and he employs a little bit of that radio technique of holding up to hear the voice. But it's as clean as it was from like a season, I think it's season 1 of the actual show. Dan made a decision to change the voice from Walter Matthau to what he's doing now. Because in the
I thought it was a different guy. It was still him.
It was still Dan. In
Completely
the Tracy
different
Ullman shorts,
intonation.
he was doing a Walter Matthau impression.
Yeah.
And when he thought maybe he can't sustain that, perhaps, I don't know. I want to ask him one of these days, what was the decision?
Yeah.
Because Brain has always been. It started out as a pure Orson Welles. I don't know.
Well, and you've done Orson Welles.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
And
we want
to play him a lot. And but as we went along, by episode 3, Andrea Romano, no relation to Ray, our voice director said it's too low, it's too flat. You've got to bring something else into it. And I thought, well, Vincent Price is similar. Here's Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. The doors have been locked and the exits are sealed. And then Vincent Price is about here. Good evening and welcome to Mystery. Tonight on Sherlock Holmes, we present the case of the Red-Headed League. And so I thought, let me put some of those highs and lows, those Vincent Price highs and lows, into the character. And the voice evolved. And I think we all do little things as we go along. And if you watch first season of any long-running show, you're going to hear a difference between the way that we are first getting to know the characters ourselves, our own characters, and as they become really established. And we also listen to people doing our characters. That's a lot of fun, and that it all goes into the hopper, and they get bigger.
Maurice, can I hear the final Brain version? Oh, you've teased it.
Yeah, Brain now is Pinky. Are you pondering what I'm pondering? Yes, we shall take over the world, my friend. So it's it's pushed. It's not. Orson would be, Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering? Yes, we shall take over the world. So it's come along.
One of the most entertaining things of prepping for this was going back and watching some Orson Welles stuff. And famously, the outtakes from when he was doing the Paul Masson.
Oh, my God.
So,
okay, I got to tell you,
Go
you see those
Yeah.
on YouTube because I had the only copy of that. And I made 50 videos of great video outtakes. I had William Shatner doing Rocket Man in the 1978 Science Fiction Film Awards. But the thing that opened the tape was Orson going, the French. Champagne has long been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne inspired by that same excellence. And like the best champagne, it's vintage dated and fermented in the bottle. And then, cut! Why don't you take 2? And then he's the French. Champagne is long been celebrated for its excellence. There's a California champagne inspired. Cut! And he shoots the director. So I gave that out to about 50 of my favorite actors, comedians, recording engineers, and it just kept getting copied and copied and copied until finally I'm on YouTube and I see it come up and I go, that's my tape.
That is the best. And then I was listening to one that you talked about was the frozen peas. So he was doing a commercial, and when he starts yelling at the guy who are you?
What is it you want?
What do you want?
What is it you want in your depths of your ignorance? What is it you want? Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it. I mean, it's so...
And he's insulting them, and then he'd go, forgive me.
Yes.
But basically, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he says, there's no known way of saying an English sentence in which you begin a sentence with the end and emphasize it. Get me a jury and show me how you can say, in July, and I'll go down on you. That's just idiotic, if you'll forgive me for my saying so. That's just stupid. In July. Love to know how you emphasize in July. Impossible. Meaningless.
But by the way, it's so enjoyable.
That was the 70s, by the way, 1970s.
But you should, just to paint the picture a little bit, the magnitude of Orson Welles' fame and talent is enormous, and he's doing pea commercials to make money, right? Because
he wanted to finish
his
The Other Side of the Wind, and he did voiceover work as a means of paying the bills at home and keeping the lights on his beautiful home, but he was trying to find, so he would take anything. And of course, he would charge a very pretty penny for it. In fact, that frozen peas commercial, those guys chased him all around Europe and kept.
It's just a funny thing to think.
Doubling the check and doubling the check.
The man who created Citizen Kane has been reduced to doing frozen peas. But the thing you're talking about was the first line was in July, and they wanted him to emphasize the word "in," and that became a really big sticking point.
It became huge for him. And yet, I have to say, I have heard British. I made a trip to London last year. I was there about 2 weeks, and British newscasters will say, in the House of Parliament, there was a fight today with the Prime Minister and one of his cabinet members, and they will come in hard on the word "in."
It's a British, so it's a British thing.
Well, at one point he wanted it to be every. Then he says it should be every July.
You don't really mean in every July. It's in July. Of course it's every July. Too much directing around here. Norway. Findus, Norway. Fish fingers, Norway. We know a certain fjord in Norway near where the cod gather in great shoals. There, Janst Stanglin. Shit. A fraction more on that shows thing, because you roll it around very nicely. Yeah, roll it around and I have no more time. You don't know what I'm up against, because it's full of things that are only correct because they're grammatical, but they're tough on the ear. You see, this is a very wearying one. It's unpleasant to read. Unrewarding. I love it. He's so withering.
Commercial about peas.
Oh my God. I mean, the intelligence of this man was so beyond anybody in any room. And so, it's like you hire Orson Welles to have him read it the way Orson Welles reads it.